The Move 1 Million organisation will be marching on Constitution Hill in Johannesburg tomorrow to the seat of the protection of the South African Constitution, as they say. It will present an extensive memorandum reminding the Chief Justice, the President, the Constitutional Court and all those responsible for governance in South Africa about the fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution that each South African citizen is entitled to. To speak more about this is the spokesperson, Jarette. Petzer. Very good evening to you and thank you so much for speaking to us. So I've pretty much given a brief or overview or outline of what it is that you're seeking, but what is the main purpose?
So we'll be embarking on a national campaign. There are 20 campaigns that are happening across the country tomorrow. One of them is Constitutional Hill. Obviously, it bears huge significance for us. But the others will be happening in Parliament. We'll be delivering a memorandum to Parliament in Cape Town tomorrow, as well as we will be present at Port Elizabeth, at City Hall, KZN City Hall, Pietermaritzburg City Hall. So we'll be all over the country. I think, we're sitting in a situation in South Africa where the political options that we have are becoming increasingly divisive, increasingly aggressive. The custodians of our state have seemingly forgotten about South Africa. I mean, we are a state that is totally divided as it stands right now. There is heinous crimes that are carrying on across the country. Education is at an all-time low. There are millions and millions of South Africans that are starving as we speak right now. The state is failing, and it's about time that the people of South Africa raised their voices, stopped being complacent, and started speaking out, being more vocal and being present. And I think that's what we're trying to enshrine in this movement, especially what we set out to achieve tomorrow.
And not to knock it, but as you've mentioned, that it is an issue of restoring faith in our leadership. You said what we have on offer is awfully divisive, aggressive, as you call it. But it's not as if people haven't pointed this out. It's not as if people haven't protested in various ways. How are you hoping that this particular action is going to achieve that restoration of faith and trust in our leadership?
Well, no, I think that the more people that stand, the more people that speak out, and the more we make our presence felt as the Republic of South Africa, the more impact we have. Certainly, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in our courts and within the Zondo Commission, and of course, that's all fine. But we need to be less complacent, and we definitely need to be far more visible as the Republic of South Africa. I think there's nothing more powerful than people coming out in their numbers to support an initiative or a cause, or to stand against wrongdoing. I think those numbers start to create a serious impact and apply the pressure that is needed in order for these things to be looked at more seriously. I think history has shown us that's the case. I think there's a lot more that needs to happen. There's a change coming to the Electoral Act in South Africa. It's only a few months away now, 10 or 15 months away, which is going to enable us to start electing our leaders directly. I think it's very important that we start focusing on that. And I think the powers that be need to start paying attention to the country. We are at boiling point in South Africa. Never have the stakes been as high as they are right now. Never have the tensions been as high as they are right now. And I think it's about time that we channel our energy in the right way and make sure that we are holding those to account. Those who have been in office and those who have taken us into the situation, they need to be held to account there, and they need to know that we as a nation are not just standing idly by anymore. And I think that sort of sums up our actions in terms of getting to the streets.
So let's talk about that, correlating your energies into the right vehicle. I'm intrigued by a statement that you've made that we no longer will be victims of the very laws designed to protect us. Which clauses in particular in the Constitution do you believe behold us to this kind of situation that you're describing?
So we'll be handing that over in our memorandum tomorrow, but we've earmarked 27 sections within the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which we believe go against, that are not being honoured and not being upheld at the moment. We'll be reading those out tomorrow, but it's blatantly clear when you're looking at things like human rights and human dignity, there is none of that in South Africa at the moment. I mean, there's the state of our country 26 years down the line after our new democracy, where you've got people that are currently eating grass to survive. You've got kids that just have no opportunities to get to school. You've got no running toilets. You've got no service delivery. You've got no will, in fact, to assist the communities that are so impoverished, that are absolutely left to their own devices. You've got outrageous crime, murder, rape, you name it. The list goes on. So within those 27 sections, we hope to highlight them and we hope to get a good response. In the next 10 days.
Is it because you believe that there's a failure in constitutionalism, that the courts are not upholding the values of the Constitution? And why do you think that is?
Well, I think that we're sitting in a situation where our political leaders just don't have the know-how and capability in order to be able to honour the Constitution nor to run the country. And I think that's quite clear. And I think the bottom line is that we need to get into a place in our country where the people that are put into power realise that they are not there to control the nation, they are there to serve the nation. And until that happens, and until we've got people that know how to do their job effectively, that know how to care for the people of South Africa, and that know how to uphold the Constitution, we are not going to be able to get anywhere as a country.
Now, I mean, there is a separation of power for precisely that reason. On the one hand, you're talking about the political leaders. It's not their job necessarily to, yes, constitutionalism does lie within their purview, but if you're talking within the judiciary, that is another arm of the state. So you have said that the courts themselves are not adhering to the principles of the Constitution. So I'll go back and ask you that question. On what basis?
Well, if you look at our courts and our judiciary system, it's not really doing its job, is it? I think from a Concord perspective, I think we've had fantastic leadership within our Concourts. Chief Justice Mogoeng is a man of integrity, high integrity, and we know that when things get to the level of constitutional courts, that we start to see a result. But certainly from our courts, the high courts, we've seen a number of cases which are questionable at best, and a number of decisions that are made that do not stand, and have allowed people to slip through the cracks, have allowed companies, the private sector, to get away with absolute murder, and have allowed those who are elected as our leaders and those who have got numbers of corruption charges against them to just continue doing what they're doing. And I think that needs to be reviewed and it needs to be taken very seriously.
Well, I do know what that march is about. Thank you so much. Move 1 Million spokesperson Jarette Petzer. So they'll be marching on the Constitution Hill tomorrow. And Parliament, he says.